In this video, I'm going to show you the complete guide to setting up Lakka on your Raspberry Pi. That involves transferring ROMs, setting up the systems themselves, and optimizing it for its best performance. Stick around, because you know what time it is. Hey guys, Jonathan here with TechWizTime, where I teach you technology through tutorials. And today I'm going to teach you how to completely set up Lakka from scratch, including transferring over ROMs, optimizing your setup, and maybe even a little bit of overclocking too. So for those of you out there who don't know, Lakka is one of the systems out there like RetroPie and Recalbox that lets you play retro gaming games through your Raspberry Pi systems. Now, most of you would have heard of RetroPie because that is by far the most popular system out there. However, Lakka does have a really attractive interface, and that's what attracts a lot of people to it. So, before we go any further though, make sure you like this video and share it with your friends, because sharing really is caring and it does help out the channel. So any little bit really helps out. So just quickly, I'm going to give a shout out to a Facebook group that I've been invited to and that I really enjoy posting to, and that's the Streaming and Retro Gaming Zero Tolerance group. So I'll leave a link down in the description for them down below. Pop in, say hello, and say that TechWizTime sent you over. So what you need to do is you need to head over to Lakka.tv and hit the Get Lakka button. Once you do that, you may come to this disclaimer screen. If you do, make sure you just hit Get Lakka again. Now the Raspberry Pis are based on GNU Linux, so click on that. And lastly, choose your model of Raspberry Pi. In my circumstance, it's the Raspberry Pi 3, so you click on that, and then click on the Download Lakka button. Once that has downloaded, you'll need to write this to a micro SD card. I recommend Etcher, which I'm showing you here quickly. It's really simple to use and really doesn't need much explanation at all. So write the image to the micro SD card, and then what we'll do is we will quickly have a look in the config.txt file, because we're going to overclock this. Now inside the micro SD card, there's a file there called config.txt. Now don't open this with just Notepad. You need something like Notepad++, which keeps the formatting. So I'll put a link for that down in the description below. So scroll down to the overclocking section and you'll see the different settings there and what values you could use based on the different settings that they have. So for Raspberry Pi 2, the very last lot of settings there, you could use where I'm changing them here. So in this circumstance, I'm changing it for a Raspberry Pi 3, which is a little bit more stronger. So these settings here are for a Raspberry Pi 3, but if you do want it for another Raspberry Pi, then base it on the settings above here. Once you've done that, you need to save the file, and then we'll eject the micro SD card and we'll jump over to the Raspberry Pi in one moment. So now that we've got the micro SD card all set up and it's all ready to go, what we'll do is we'll pop that into the Raspberry Pi and we'll start setting up Lakka on the Raspberry Pi itself. So once we've booted up Lakka, what we'll notice the first thing is that, especially with my controller anyway, the Xbox 360 controller is plugged in via USB, but the B and A button are back around the front. I don't know whichever way to say that. Anyway, so what we'll need to do is we'll need to go and change that in the input section. So for the moment, you'll need to press B to make the option A to go backwards. So under the settings cogwheel, we need to go down to input, and then inside input, we need to go down to input user 1 binds. Inside here, I can see it's set up as the Microsoft Xbox 360 controller, but we need to remap the buttons and the sticks and so forth to make sure it's correct. So in order to do that, we go down to user 1 bind all. And now we just press the corresponding keys, and if, like myself, you accidentally press the wrong key, you can go backwards afterwards and actually go to the one that you missed and change it. So don't stress too much if you miss something here. So now that we've got the controller set up, the next thing we'll want to do is set up the network itself. So under the settings menu, we go down to Wi-Fi and then we choose our Wi-Fi SSID name. If you're on a wired connection, you won't need to worry about that right now. But once you select your Wi-Fi name, you just need to put in your passphrase, which is your password for your Wi-Fi, and then just press the enter symbol, which is the second from the top. After you've done that, wait about 10 seconds or so, and eventually it will come up and say online beside it if everything went correctly. So now that we've got the network enabled, you may need to enable SSH. Now, if that's the case, what you'll do is under the settings menu, go down to services, and here you can enable or disable SSH. Now for those that do use SSH, the username and password for the current build of Lakka is root and root. It is highly recommended that you change this because there are bots out there on the internet that are actively looking for open SSH ports using default usernames and passwords. So just keep that in mind. So now that we've enabled SSH, one of the other things that you'll probably want to do is find out what your IP address is for your Raspberry Pi right now. So to do that, underneath the Lakka menu, go down to Information and select Network Information. This will give you your wireless LAN or your wired LAN IP address. Make sure you note these down so when you jump over to the computer in a moment, you'll have access to them. So what we'll do now is we'll just jump over to the computer and we'll show you how to upload a ROM to your Lakka installation. So opening up an Explorer window, what you'll do is you'll type into the address bar here, // or your IP address. Now the first time this loads, it will ask for a username and password, and you need to type in root and root. And if you like, you can hit the save password for later. So now that we've accessed the Raspberry Pi, what we can do is we can go into the ROMs folder, and from here, what we can do is we can add a new folder, and in this case, I'm going to upload my Nintendo 64 game, which is Wave Race. So once I've created the Nintendo 64 folder, I can just copy in the ROM from my computer, and once it's uploaded, we can jump back over to the Raspberry Pi and actually load it into Lakka. So back on the Raspberry Pi now, if we go into the Lakka menu and go to Load Content, and now if we go to Select File and Core, and here I'll go into the Nintendo 64 folder and I'll choose the ROM I just uploaded. Then I'll choose Load Archive with Core, and I've got a choice of two here. It's probably always best to choose the top one, so we're going to choose the top one here. And this now will start up the ROM. Now whenever you feel like getting back to Lakka from the ROM itself, all you need to do on the Xbox 360 control pad at least, is press the middle button. So while we're in this menu, I'll just show you quickly. You can change the state slot, which gives you the option of having it on any one of those numbers. And also you can save the state of where the game is right now, so you don't have to actually use the in-game saving systems. And just to show you, I'll reload it from that same state. And one of the other things you might want to do is you might want to customize the look of Lakka. So if you go to the Settings menu, and under Settings, if you go down to Menu, here you can change the menu icon theme by pressing left or right. You can change the menu shader pipeline, which is just the effects in the background. I don't recommend changing this as the snow one is quite slow, as you'll see here. So just keep it on ribbon. And the other thing that you can do is you can change the menu color theme. And you can see there's quite a lot of color choices there. So whatever takes your fancy, you can choose it here. How awesome is that? Okay, so now you've got Lakka installed on your Raspberry Pi, and it's all set up, completely ready to go. There's nothing more that you need to do, except maybe find those ROMs to throw on there. So did I miss a step, or is there something that you want me to do as a tutorial in the future maybe? Well, leave me a comment down below and let me know. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit that red button down there, and if you are a subscriber, then make sure you look for that bell icon, because when you hit that, you get notified of my new videos straight to your inbox. And as always, imagine, learn, create.